Guys, my name is Alex McClarty, and today we're going to talk about natural wildfires and systematic logging. Alright, so if you just look at this forest, you kind of think it's just a very average forest. It's pretty dense, but other than that, it just kind of looks like an average forest. A lot of people don't know this forest will look nothing like this a century ago. And that is because it used to be a social norm to let wildfires go through the natural route, which caused natural barriers that wouldn't allow megafires to happen. I've read articles on the U.S. Forest Service website done by Paul Hesberg, who is a landscape ecologist. In his research, he says that the reason that these forests look the way they do is because of the Big Burn. And pretty much what happened was a big burn. It happened in 1910, and it burned to the size of Connecticut, 3 million acres, I think a couple of days, and it killed over 87 people. And before that, the social norm was to let natural wildfires happen because it was very natural and it was just a part of what the forest was doing. But then after 1910, when 87 people died, they decided, okay, no more fires, which causes the forest to be very dense and causes a lot of buildup. Alright, this is the same picture of the same forest, and this is taken in 1930, and as you can tell, it's very prominent that fire was evident in this forest. And you can tell it's patchy, but there's a lot of systematic things going on with the patchwork that helped the forest survive. It was a very natural way to do it, and it pretty much showed that it was so dense that huge fires can happen, and there's also natural barriers, as we can see here, so fires wouldn't spread quickly. Alright, so pretty much what I'm going to do here is pretty much explain what's going on with how a natural wildfire used to happen, and pretty much how it used to be is you have a fire here, but obviously you couldn't make it all the way through the entire mountain because of parts like this part right here where you couldn't, where there used to be a meadow and where there's a meadow and a wildfire had happened before. And then pretty much you go through, so 95 years you go up here, but then it can't make it all the way through just from the point I just said, and it goes through that same rotation. And after reading an article titled "Why We Should Let Wildfires Burn," done by Claire Asher, BBC, it showed that human intervention in the last century has disputed the natural fire regime. It shows that when the fires do burn, they burn like in 1988, when the Yellowstone Natural Wildfires burned 45% of their park. And that was because there was a lot of buildup over those years since 1910 of dead trees, and it's lots of just buildup, which is it's pretty much just a fuel for the big fires. As you can see here, this is a picture of Yellowstone, where you see that fire, you're not stopping that anytime soon. That thing is going it's blazing pretty hot there. And you can see here, same thing, where you're not really stopping that fire. That's because it's out of control of the buildup. And after reading an article called "Can Forest Burn Its Way Out of the Wildfire Crisis," written by Jay Bushes at 5280.com, I learned that the 6 worst fire seasons in the last 50 years have all been since 2000. This is because of the social norm that we need to stop every fire which causes buildup, and the only way to reverse this is to do systematic logging, where we take out the dead trees and the trees that are too dense, so we can let natural wildfires go through their natural route and not get out of hand and harm people. I learned from Dr. Timothy Minnick at scienceandtech.org that many fires cannot sustain themselves without natural wildfires, as we can see through these photos. Also, another factor is that contributed to the dense forest is logging. After World War II in the western states, we started logging the bigger, larger trees out of the forest. And while that's the most profitable way to do it, it hurts the forest a lot, because these have been around since decades and have gone through a lot of the fires. And when you take these trees out, they obviously, like smaller, denser trees grow in the place, and smaller, denser trees don't have the same height as the big trees, so the leaves do get caught on fire. It's pretty much a recipe for disaster when it comes to huge fires when you take out the larger trees. I also learned from reading "Should Wildfires Be Allowed to Burn in Natural Forests" by Karen Kiever at bluerideoutdoors.com that because of the logging, the forests are so dense that it acts like a canopy and not allowing some species of trees for sunlight to grow. So also, when you take out the larger trees, it acts like a canopy because all the smaller trees there's no sunlight getting into all the smaller trees, which pretty much causes a lot of trouble with some species of trees going extinct because they can't grow because there's no sunlight. All right, so pretty much going on here is the buildup. This is what it looks like today, where you have buildup of all the dead trees, and you can see there's no patchwork, and there's people living in these forests because of a lot more people migrating to the western states. And once this happens, once things do burn, it turns into that. You burn the entire forest down, not just pieces. And in Ryan Zink's article, it's titled "Wildfires Seem to be Unstoppable, but they can be prevented." From the US, it's from USA Today. Shows that we stop 95% of fires, but the 5% that don't get stopped turn into monster fires because of the buildup. And pretty much it's the buildup we're talking about before, where it's looking more like this, where you have a lot of dead trees. But 95% of fires were stopped because that means all these dead trees are still going to be there. But the 5% that get through will make it turn it back into this. All right. So I'm just going to go through here and pretty much just comparing forests in Switzerland in 1930. As you can tell, it's a lot more full, and yeah, you can see there's a lot more patchwork in fire. Is prominent. That you can see there's a lot more prominent that there's fire in going on 1930 compared to 2011. Going through it again, as you see, there's even a little. As you can see, there's definitely a chart right here. It's about the ridge in 1936. And yeah, it's going. Look how the difference. It's pretty evident what I'm talking about here. And this is so pretty much what I'm reaching the conclusion how to fix this is we need to change the social norm. Social norm now is that we stop every fire. Well, I think that we need to go back to what we were doing in 1936, where we have these natural barriers in place. And I think that we can get there by systematic logging, so that we can remove all the dead trees and then remove all the smaller dense trees that are killing off certain species of trees, so that it won't be crazy when we do let natural wildfires happen. So I guess the main takeaway of this video is that we need to change the social norms. Hopefully you guys liked it. Subscribe and like it, and thank you.